think we'll start. And my name is Susan Belkern. I'm a Vice President for Product Management at Sources-Clarivate. And this is my colleague, Natalie Duvall.
I'm the Senior Director for Historical Collection and
So thank you, everyone. And it's nice to see some familiar faces in the audience. So thanks for coming, and we appreciate it. Today, we're going to give, it's very brief, it's only 20 minutes, so give a brief overview of where we are and a bit of where we're going, and looking at the advancement and kind of thinking forward to our approaches of primary sources. The digitization, remember primary sources start either from microfilm, P-shade print, and we digitize them and make them into online electronic resources for discovery and used by our researchers and students. And we'll just give a brief overview of kind of the evolution of the formats and really thinking through, the traditional formats and how the shifts have, enhanced engagement with primary sources. And really each step of throughout the last, well, really since 1938 in microfilm, since those days, but really in the digital age, since the year 2000. And we take a kind of contemporary view towards looking at the traditional formats, and we'll explain that and the shift of how it enhances student engagement with the primary sources. And we'll give a little bit about a role of AI. Clarivate, we've launched, have a whole team of data scientists, and we're working with them very closely in deploying AI in very unique ways throughout our portfolios at ProQuest. And we'll give a little bit of insight into what we're doing there, and we'll welcome your input there as well. And lastly, looking at some of our platform investment and features and things like text and data mining in our TDM studio, and looking at other ways that our researchers can unlock the content within these materials and get new insights into them. So many of you have been along this journey with us in the last, 20, 25, well, 1938 with microfilm, but in the online world really since the early 2000s, late 1990s, with the pop-up of electronic dial-up and CD-ROM, etc., and then into the internet world, and now into interactive online digital databases. So it's been quite a journey we've taken together, and along the way there's been evolving of how content's produced and how it's consumed and used and research, and the research outputs have changed over the years.
So we recently migrated our History Vault collections to the ProQuest platform. It's one of our really cornerstone collections for archival research. It's been used in the classroom by many historians who've really integrated it into their syllabus. So we have a lot of examples to share on that. But basically what we've done is really replicate the experience of being in the archives. So created the archival arrangement and for those students. Because really, like with primary sources, what we need to do is to give context to help students overcome obstacles. It feels sometimes very intimidated to go into these documents. So we try to give them anchors. So here, like you can see, and the example of California State Fullerton was really good because there are students who will never go to the Library of Congress to do archival research, etc. But on the right, you have the holdings at the Congress, and then a folder. So we replicate that here, again, to really make them detective, looking for, that was one of our historians saying, I want them to be detective and look and find documents that are very exciting. Another way we do this is through a purpose-built platform. So in our recent product like ProQuest Women and Gender, ProQuest Black Studies, we've really, we keep the raw documents, like the raw research is there. Students still need to go and find the documents, but at the same time, we help them locate, contextualize through topic pages and through timelines. They help them to visualize history different ways. And another big advancement for us in recent years, that kind of, for collections like the plantation records that had been available for a long, long time, we have added the HDRing of manuscript. So in the past few years, that's really been something that has transformed and made much more accessible this content, especially since with the new generation do not read handwritten notes or cursive. They are not taught that. So that really helped them to find results. And we've seen that our usage, the downloads have risen at least by 20% since we incorporated HDRing of manuscripts. Can we move to Susan?
And we've done a lot of research through our UI team and our platform teams and product management to look at students and where students stumble in the research process. So it's not just with primary sources, it's also with journals and our dissertations and books, et cetera. Where are their big kind of pain points? And we're trying to design our solutions around the pain points. And that's very deliberate, especially as we're deploying our new technologies. So for example, our students seek assistance in selecting a relevant topic. And that is one of their biggest pain points when they go and they do a search and they get 10,000, 100,000 search results. And they go, whoa. Or they'll put in one word as a search term instead of a string, and they can't narrow their search. Students also have a hard time finding and selecting and organizing once they get results. And they need help with, evaluating the credibility and the relevance of those results and their searches and which ones to use and not use, particularly when they're collaborating with others in the classroom on a paper and having those discussions. And also in terms of synthesizing and then also crafting their writing and refine and revising, they go, whoa, now that's a next step. And so we're helping them through that whole process. It's purpose-built for that. So we've created a research assistant, and it's actually developed with AI in the back end, but we're not replacing their search. So we're helping them with search, but the research assistant actually works on an individual document once they found the document that they're evaluating. So let's say if a student has 10,000 results in their search, and we're helping them narrow down to the document. Once they get to that document, can they make that evaluation? Is that the document I really want? And secondly, is it a document that's really going to help me or not? So essentially, we've used the AI in the back end to read the document, and it gives key takeaways about that document. What's this document about? Secondly, what are the key concepts in the document? And we'll even give like some dictionary terms to the documents. Also, give them suggested research topics based on this document that they could write about. So it's not doing the search for them, but it's guiding them and helping them think through the process and think through, is this document going to be something I can use in my research? Or not, do I move on to the next one? We're also looking at, if you can see in the top line there, so as the student goes across, and in this example, the student put in Harlem Renaissance, and this is from our ProQuest Black Studies product. And in this product, it's a multimedia product, and it has archives, it has video, has journals, has some books, has scholarly journals, some dissertations, some magazines, and primary sources, and then NAACP papers, Black Freedom papers, et cetera. We've been able to integrate that content, and secondly, with that content, apply some AI technology to it. So you don't have different rungs of a ladder when you start searching across the multi-formatted content. And with this, as a student put in this example, a search Harlem Renaissance, they got 16,000 results. Well, now what? So we're helping them narrow their search, and you can see the pills at the top. And the pills help them get to that search result. Did you mean this? did you also mean, Black arts movement? Or did you mean, Black nationalism? Are there other terms did you mean? And they click there, and it actually creates the Boolean search for them, and they can see it. It also replicates it, so for so that faculty can see the process that the student went through and what was their search string, and also where are they getting their content from and what's their citation look like? Does it support it, and can they go back and replicate it? So it takes them through that whole process as well. And go to the next. So we've rolled this out in mid-September. We've rolled it out against 7 big databases at ProQuest. We'll be rolling it out to our big ProQuest Central product in December. And so far, we've got 85% of the responses have been positive. The one thing that when we're using Pendo and other tools to capture input from researchers, and the one thing that really surprised me is we actually designed this more for undergrads and let's say junior, senior, maybe thesis. We had tons of faculty and researchers in here. So about 40% were actually faculty and graduate students versus undergrads. So that was a big surprise. We'll see if that holds. It's early days. They could be looky-looing, but we think that they're also finding the benefits of this to be able to do research a little bit quicker, but to pinpoint and narrow down their searches. And we've also seen a really huge increase in usage with 25% lift on it, which is really fantastic. So we will be continuing to take input from researchers and from librarians and from faculty, et cetera, as we roll these tools out. And so far, knock on wood, we're not trying to create noise in AI or with AI or anything like that. We're trying to keep it, to solve those pain points and keep it at the document level and to use it as a helping tool versus as a noise tool, if that makes sense. We're continuing to make investments also. We do have those high-level researchers who do text and data mining. And so we, a few years ago, launched TDM Studio. And right now we have tens of thousands of researchers using it. In fact, I think, tens of thousands. Right now they have to know Python, code in Python. And it's, but we're changing that. So H1 next year, we'll be rolling out TDM Studio. I call it for dummies because I took the physics for poets, but we'll have a better name for it. And it's really for non-coders. So that will be rolling out, and it's very easy to go in the content that we have on the ProQuest platform. To be able to go in, you create your data set from a list of the databases that your university is entitled to or they purchased or subscribed to, and they will have access to it. Right now, the use cases are really around the content around newspapers, dissertations, and our congressional content, hearings and bills, and also our Web of Science content that we've integrated into TDM Studio for a little bit higher end researchers. So we're really excited about this, and especially as we roll out TDM Studio for non-coders early next year with really cool visualizations and other kind of applications for students to get new insights. Right now, really business departments, economic departments, sociology, government, public policy, political science, those are some of the heavy end users in those disciplines right now. And we're opening it up also to history, vault, and art or humanities users with that content now front and center in TDM Studio. Yeah.
So I'd like now to situate a bit where we stand with our collection and what distinguishes them. So we have some premium partners, recently Quest TV, the BBC, launching at the end of the month, Miss Magazine, and Boozy and Oaks, which is the SCORE publishers. Our topics are varied, going from history, culture, social sciences, the performing arts, literature, and really what it allows us to do is to have an interdisciplinary view on many topics. Then the multi-format collections, we talked about ProQuest Women and Gender, ProQuest Black Studies. So we're bringing our primary sources together with like dissertations, journals, creating multimedia resources. But you can really go from early modern books to recent contemporary global music and dance. So we have a very wide array of coverage. And we continue to invest in platform and features as we've shown until now. The big theme that we have of course, diversity, literature, performing arts, entertainment and pop culture, women and gender, history, cultural anthropology, Black studies, government documents, global studies, historical periods and newspapers. We really focus on those areas. That's where we are adding content. And some of the content I want to highlight that is either recent or forthcoming. For example, Broadway on Demand, Volume 2, Le Film Français, which is the, as a French person, publication from the industry in France. It's post-World War II. Miss Magazine, I'm very excited about. I'm going to the National Women's Studies Association later this week to present with the Miss Magazine team. Some newspaper from my colleagues, like with Le Monde, ABC Spain, the Canadian collection. And in global studies, we're just doing a collection that is pertinent, Aging in the Modern World, and World Events and the Media that just launched or about to launch. So a lot of exciting content forthcoming. I wanted to end with a quote from one of the faculty, because I cherish faculty for the job they do to teach our students. It's easy to forget facts, but it's hard to forget an assignment or a moment where you really learn something. And I think a well-designed archival assignment can help students really learn something. Because they weren't fed that information, they had to construct that information themselves. And I think that's really what we're trying to do even with research assistants.
So we thank you for coming today. If there's any questions, I think this is like a speed dial version of our presentation. And we're really looking and working closely, with faculty and librarians to not only find new content, but also how they're using the content, both in the classroom and in the research. There's two different, kind of paths sometimes. And also looking to see when there's that, to support the interdisciplinary nature of assignments as well across content sets. In some cases, in universities, it's more vertical for discipline. And then in other cases, it goes horizontal where it's very interdisciplinary. So we're trying to serve both paths and both use cases. And also deploy new technologies, which is exciting. There's challenges with it, but it's also very exciting, and we're trying to do it in a very responsible way and with the community. And so in a luncheon, I think on Thursday, we'll have a bigger session on AI, and throughout you'll be hearing different sessions, not just from Clarivate, but from others throughout this conference. I came from the legal conference, law conference in the mid-year, and it was all about AI, with lawyers. So that was and affecting their practice and affecting how law schools teach students to then go in and become lawyers. So it gets to be very practical and very return on investment. I know as librarians, you're looking at return on investment because you're training students to then go get that next job, when they graduate, and they'll have some skill sets and when they get it. So, any questions?